Can everybody please shut up?
It's a working man I am.
There's too much fucking weed, Julian.
I've been down underground.
You're never gonna finish this.
And I swear you God, if I ever see the sun.
It's fucking Corey Trevor's fault.
If you've ever scrolled through Netflix trying to find something to watch, you may have come across a poster for the show Trailer Park Boys among the hundreds of different titles that the platform has to offer.
Terry, I can't fucking do that right now. I'm on Kurtz, alright? Fuck off.
Trailer Park Boys is a Canadian mockumentary sitcom first airing in the year 2001, created by Canadian television producer and screenwriter Mike Clattenburg. The show is set in the fictional community of Sunnyvale Trailer Park, located somewhere in Halifax in the province of Nova Scotia, Canada. It follows three lifelong friends, Julian, Ricky,
My first order of business is to tell the prosecutor to shut the fuck up and wipe that stupid fucking grin off his face because it's distraculating my case.
and Bubbles.
Can you read, my son?
Well, that depends. Can you go fuck yourself?
As well as a number of other weird and eccentric characters which we'll talk about later, as they navigate life in and out of the Canadian correctional system while struggling to reintegrate into society and go straight.
Julian, fuck all this bullshit. Fuck this bank. Let's just go spending, man. Let's go shopping. I need some gifts.
Ricky,
Come on.
we're gonna set up some GICs and some RSPs, man. That's investment.
Bingo.
But inevitably falling back into the same cycle of incarceration.
Do you know what recidivism is, Randy?
I don't have a clue, Mr. Lee.
That's when people go back to jail over and over and over. I think we got a couple of A1 class act recidivists up there.
I know what's coming.
What the fuck is wrong with you?
Between Ricky accidentally setting things on fire,
Dad, it's got a little bit of a fuck up. No big deal.
Julian planning elaborate crimes while never putting down his rum and coke, and Bubble stealing grocery carts and reselling them to grocery stores to look after his cats,
Ricky? Is this the cart thief?
Go ahead then, Rick. You might as well tell him who the big fuck cart thief is.
the heart of the show remains focused on three friends and their community struggling to survive in a world that constantly pushes them to the margins.
Where do you piss around here, Dad?
Through there, first door on the left, okay?
Trying, failing, and trying again to rebuild their lives in a society that never really expected anything from them in the first place.
You know, it's never too late to change the path you're going down in life, boys.
This show is famously known for its low-budget approach to filming. A camera crew follows different characters around the park and sometimes become part of the action.
Fuck! Ah, fuck! What in the fuck? Get in the truck! Ricky! Fucking shot! Ricky! Get in the truck! Ricky, get in the truck!
The camera work is shaky, the footage is often grainy and inconsistent, and the Sunnyvale landscape can sometimes feel bleak and unappealing.
Look, there's piss jugs in here. With the TV coming, Ricky?
But Trailer Park Boys doesn't try to hide its lack of big studio resources that one would see in a normal sitcom like Parks and Rec or The Office. Rather, it leans into it. The series lets Sunnyvale be Sunnyvale, and the rough and unpolished filming style forces the story to rely on character and performance. It creates a certain authenticity that makes the humor hit so much harder.
I want to smoke!
Trinity, you can't smoke with the patch on. I told you that. Give me that cigarette.
Well, you have a patch on and you're smoking it.
Look at the size of me. I'm way bigger than you. Trinity, don't like that cigarette.
And makes the emotional moments in the series feel sincere.
Don't worry about it. I'll always be there for you guys. You guys are my best friends. Friends stick together. When you got no family, that's all you got, right?
All in all, these limitations in the series actually become part of its charm, which they unfortunately lose in the later seasons when they are taken over by Netflix. But despite being a low-budget comedy set in a struggling trailer park community, and aside from the occasional jabs at some of the more unfortunate characters like Corey and Trevor, the show doesn't punch down at its characters for their circumstances. In other words, the show isn't trying to make fun of poor people living in trailer parks. Rather, the show seeks to humanize the criminals, the reprobates, and the outcasts with genuine empathy, presenting them not as targets of ridicule, but as real people shaped by their circumstances, their interests, and their aspirations.
I got my grade 10. I haven't really done anything with it, all right? And I've been to jail, and I just wanted to make you guys proud and try to go to school, get my book thinking and learnings and stuff flowing better, more brainly in my head. And I can't afford a CV or tell you what I'm trying to say here because my brain's scrambly, but I'm sorry anyway, alright, sweetie? Don't lie like Daddy did. It's not right. It's just I was trying to make you guys proud.
It is an authentic depiction of humans navigating the pressures of limited economic mobility and addiction. It treats the trailer park not as a punchline, as it is so often characterized in popular culture and social commentary, but rather as a place where humanity and hope persist despite all of the odds stacked against it.
Who in this park, or even who in the whole world, doesn't have problems? Who doesn't have a drink too many times once in a while, and maybe even winds up passed out in their own driveway, pissing themselves?
So on the surface, Trailer Park Boys may appear to be a profanity-laced show filled with glorified crime, drug use, and absurd slapstick humor, but beneath the surface, beneath the piss jugs and hijinks, there is a deeper commentary on community, identity, friendship, and class struggle. So today, we're taking a closer look at the earlier seasons of Trailer Park Boys and why this messy and often chaotic show resonated so deeply with viewers and grew into a beloved cult phenomenon that continues to endure decades after its debut.
Come here, little buddy. I'm gonna unhook you. You're free.
Ah, fuck. Shit.
This is The Hidden Hearts of Trailer Park Boys.
There's two things motherfuckers gotta know about Jada the ROC, straight up, you know what I'm saying? First of all, I spin more rhymes than a lazy Susan, and I'm innocent until my guilt is proven. Peace. Represents Sunnyvale, straight the fuck up.
Trailer Park Boys wouldn't be the success that it is today without its cast of silly but deeply complex characters who are seemingly always fighting an uphill battle.
What's that? Randy, take off your fucking shirt.
Nothing ever really comes easy in Sunnyvale, and we can analyze each character to help us understand why they behave and respond to the world around them in the way that they do.
Come on!
These are tight pants.
What the hell is that? See, boys? Fake piss apparatus. Never trust a man with no shirt on.
Mr. Leahy!
Grab him, Ricky!
First, we have Julian, who was portrayed in the show by Canadian actor Jean-Paul Tremblay. Having achieved the highest level of education among his peers, as well as being more physically dominant than everyone else, Julian is naturally represented as the leader of his friend group and someone who the community can look to when they're in need of assistance. He is also perhaps the most industrious character in the show and embodies a true entrepreneurial spirit, even if that means occasionally breaking the law to try to make some money.
Julian, I picked you up at jail 10 minutes ago, and now you're telling me we're going to steal car stereos.
As the brains of their operations, Julian is often the architect of many of the boys' money-making schemes by either coming up with the ideas directly or seeing to it that someone else's idea comes to fruition. Now, these operations don't always pan out in the way they'd hope, resulting in either a few of the boys ending up in jail or all of the boys ending up in jail at the end of each season. Now, we do see Julian's perspective on incarceration change from season to season depending on circumstance, with varying degrees of risk that he's willing to take to avoid going back to jail. What remains relatively consistent, though, is the fact that, unlike Ricky, Julian doesn't actually like going to jail.
Well, there's one there, and they use it for tracking, Rick. They'll be able to track him right back to our dope field. Cops, jail, fuck jail. I'm not going back to jail, Ricky. Not gonna happen, man.
Julian, don't be dissing jail, man. We've had some good fucking parties in there. We got good friends in there. I mean, they fed you, used their gym. Come on, man. Don't be dissing jail. It's not fucking cool.
Boys.
In fact, in Season 1, we see a Julian that is eager to break the cycle of incarceration. He decides in the beginning of that season that once he is done serving his sentence, he is going to move out of the trailer park, stay away from Ricky, and enroll in community college.
Get in your own cab. You're not sharing my cab. Get out of here.
We're just going back to the trailer park.
You got any money?
No, that's why I need a
Get
ride.
your own cab.
This is the way you want to treat me, is it, on camera?
Here's your
on
bag.
TV? Don't throw my shit around.
Unfortunately for Julian, things don't really go according to plan, as a number of external forces prevents him from being able to achieve his goals. For starters, Ricky's life after their latest jail sentence begins to fall apart, leaving him with nowhere to live. Julian, being one of Ricky's loyal friends, gives him a car for him to live in, which remains parked in front of Julian's yard. This car will actually serve as Ricky's home for many years to come. Ricky's perspective on jail is much different from Julian's, and what we see is that criminality is wholly normalized in Ricky's life. He has no problem going back to jail. In fact, he likes going to jail.
Anyway, I don't care. Now I'm here and hanging out with the boys. Terry's here and Phil, and you know, it's gonna be a good time. The food's been good so far. There's lots of dope going around now because you can't smoke, so there's more dope, and that's pretty cool.
Ricky, living in such close proximity to Julian, who is just trying to go straight, remains a constant source of peer pressure and negative influence that actively works against him. And on top of this, Julian's previous associations with Ricky puts him in a spotlight with the trailer park supervisor Jim Leahy, who refuses to let Julian leave the park, as the perception is that Julian is the only person that can control Ricky. Mr. Leahy, acting as an authority figure in the park, reminds Julian of the legal consequences of him leaving the park.
Well, first, you got a 24-month lease signed up with Sunnyvale Trailer Park. Number 2, you got a derelict piece of shit out front that's leaking oil all over the grass, and it's going to require an environmental soil test, which you're liable for. Number 3, you owe me $1,600 for outstanding site fees for when you were in jail. Number 4, you try to leave here.
Number 1, you could fuck off.
However, there are also social consequences associated with this potential departure. You see, Julian isn't just the leader of his friend group. Julian has status in his community and is seen as a symbol of strength. In fact, in Season 1, we find out pretty quickly that the community is being terrorized by a figure known as Cyrus in Julian's absence.
Yeah, I moved into his trailer. Nice little spot. The way I see it, this fucking Julian guy, he lost his privileges when he went off to Con College, you see? I'm the guy that owns the trailer now. I'm running the trailer park. And if that big tough fucking guy comes running around here throwing his little bit of weight around, well, that fuck off.
Cyrus is not from the Sunnyvale community, but has taken on the form of a caricature of authority, ruling not with sympathy nor any formal authority, but rather with the fear that he instills in the members of the community through physical intimidation.
Safety, always off.
No one in the community has been able to get rid of Cyrus, not even the park's official authority figure, Mr. Leahy.
Kiss my hand.
Do it.
All right. Fuck off. I got work to do.
Upon learning that Cyrus has commandeered Julian's home while he's been away at prison, Julian confronts Cyrus in front of his home, in front of an audience of community spectators, and emasculates Cyrus, forcing him to leave the park for good.
Why don't you get out of here?
Need this shit anyway. Chump change.
This scene cements Julian's status within the Sunnyvale community, but this status is a double-edged sword. On the one hand, not only is he accepted by the members of the trailer park, he's embraced. The residents of Sunnyvale are his family, and despite being a repeat offender, the community doesn't fear him. It embraces him as their leader. Now, on the other hand, the world that exists outside of the trailer park is harsh, and it's not welcoming to members from their community. A good example of this is when Ricky and Julian take Bubbles into the hospital to remove an infected tooth, and they're met with resistance from the hospital staff.
Any health cards, social insurance numbers? Is there any information you can give me?
I do have one last bit of information for you. This is called the double whammy, which I only bring in for special occasions, all right? So why don't you and your whole hospital fuck off if you want to help me? Just because I live in a car, is that what it is? Holy fuck! You guys can fuck off. What the fuck is this shit? I live in a car, you won't fucking fix me up or help my friends too? Fuck you, Conky.
Even the types of employment options that are available to Julian and the boys in the outside world are severely limited because of their repeat offender statuses. Even romantic relationships are hard to maintain.
You didn't have to say you love me, you know.
Fuck you, you greasy trailer park boy.
Now, these are just some of the external forces that make it exceedingly difficult for Julian to go straight and reintegrate into normal society, because again, he can reintegrate into his community fairly easily, but the outside world is much less accepting of his reintegration. And unfortunately, as a consequence of the boys having difficulty reintegrating into society, it only reinforces their criminal behaviors and make it more likely that they'll end up in jail again.
Well, you know, just because these young men have little education and live in squalor doesn't entitle them to commit antisocial behavior and get away with it.
Now, beyond just the external pressures that Julian must confront, his life is further complicated by his internal psychological struggles, particularly his alcoholism, which is a persistent and destabilizing force in his life. In fact, one of the long-running jokes in the show is that Julian always has a rum and coke in his hands, a habit that is later revealed to have come from his upbringing by his grandmother.
It was Julian's grandmother who owned it originally, and she left it to Julian. And that's probably how most of the damage got done, because she used to drive around here drunk all the time, smashing into poles and stuff. You think Julian goes around with a drink a lot? You should have saw her.
We don't really know much else about Julian's upbringing aside from the fact that, like many of the other characters in the show, he comes from a broken home and is raised by his grandmother. We also know that he was exposed to alcohol at an early age, and there remained a long-standing presence in his life.
I just wanted to get candy, and Julian was on the liquor. I mean, we were only kids, but he was still driving liquor into him.
Now, Julian's struggles with alcoholism actually align with research showing that individuals that are lower on the socioeconomic ladder are not only more likely to develop alcohol dependencies, but also tend to experience more severe consequences than their higher income peers. Similar studies also indicate that parental separation during childhood can be a significant factor that contributes to later alcohol dependency. Unfortunately for Julian, alcohol is probably his biggest hurdle to achieving his goals, and it is a problem that he never really addresses. I think it is important to tie this back to my original thesis that Trailer Park Boys is ultimately striving for authenticity. While they're known to use exaggeration for comedic effect, the show doesn't try to sugarcoat the realities of life. While the themes in this show could certainly be used to frame it in a more dramatic effect, the show instead uses comedy to make these hardships more approachable. They choose to illustrate characters like Julian in a more positive light, reminding us that at the end of the day, he, like so many of us, is just a human that makes mistakes.
Reading books got me through this stretch. I mean, you know, you got self-help books, you got books on nature, and you got books on wilderness. Like, check out that fucking bear. You know, he's got that salmon. You see, I'm kind of like the salmon. I'm kind of like the guy that swims upstream, right? And, you know, I'm trying to avoid these fuckers. So, you know, I take what I learned in jail and I go home and, you know, I just try to survive.
In so many popular shows today, a character may struggle with similar hardships for an episode or a season, ultimately finding a way to resolve their problems. On the other hand, the characters of Trailer Park Boys struggle with their hardships for their entire existence. Ultimately, it reminds us that it is quite challenging to overcome issues like substance abuse. These are just not issues that can be fixed in one episode or one season. Sometimes they manifest as lifelong struggles. Maybe by choosing to depict these serious issues in a more approachable light, we can sympathize with Julian and try to sympathize with the very real people that are out there struggling with these same problems. And yet, despite these challenges, despite all of the hardship, Julian embodies the qualities that give Trailer Park Boys its heart. He loves, he cares for his community, he looks out for his people, but what truly sets him apart is his loyalty and care for his friends.
This is your new home, buddy.
But how? How'd you guys do this?
Well, I don't want to take all the credit here. Corey and Trevor helped out quite a bit, so you want to thank those guys too, Rick.
Julian's controlled and rational demeanor masks a deep sense of responsibility and affection, revealing that his actions, however flawed, are often motivated by a desire to protect and sustain the people around him.
You deserve it, bud.
Thanks. I'm gonna go get all my shit and put it in there.
In a world that harshly judges people facing poverty and addiction, Julian refuses to dispose of anyone. His character reminds us that redemption isn't found in a perfect life or a fixed character arc, but in the messy chaos that is the entirety of one's life. Julian may never find the big score that gets him out of the park, but in his loyalty, he's already found something more valuable.
Who else would buy up all the trailers of the people that got evicted and renovate them and then give them right back to them at, you know, a reduced rate of what they were going to be getting charged for them? That takes a big heart, and that's what Julian has.
A reason to keep trying.
The deal actually worked. Shitty Bill got back to the park with all the cigarettes and I made $480,000. I'm retired now, and I can't believe it. I actually made something of myself.
Hey everyone, I hope you all enjoyed this first episode of the Hidden Hearts of Trailer Park Boys. If you did, please consider giving me a like and consider subscribing so you don't miss the next episode. Let me know which part of the video you enjoyed down in the comments section. Thank you all again, and see you all next time.